everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Lara Trump Wanted for Questioning. It's Thanksgiving. Maybe you got some questions about that for me, but let's see what we got tonight. Here we go. Question number 1. I have read Eric's new book, and I thought it was fantastic. Thank you very much. Not that I wrote it, but thanks. What was one great quality that attracted you to Eric and that you still cherish? Well, I think one of the things that really struck me upon meeting him, after I looked at our heights and I was like, yeah, absolutely, this guy's taller than me. I'm wearing heels. We checked that box, was actually how humble he was and how honestly like normal he was. I at first didn't know what his last name was when we first met. Didn't know an Eric Trump existed out there. But once I figured that out, I kind of had in my mind what I thought he would be like. And to be really honest, it wasn't anything great. I mean, you read this in the foreword to the book if you read his book. And then as I got to know him, I was like, this guy is pretty normal. Like he's frugal in the right spaces. It's not like he's some guy just like blowing money everywhere. And I remember we had just painted my apartment. I moved apartments when he and I first started dating. And I moved into this new apartment. He came over, he helped me paint like all day Saturday or Sunday. And then he was like, well, why don't we go get dinner somewhere? We were both exhausted and both hungry. And he basically was like, let's invite my mom to dinner because I want to make sure that we go to a place that's nice enough. But if we invite her, she'll pay for it. This is how every kid is, right? When you're in your early 20s, you just start working. You're like, yeah, let me invite my mom. I actually was like, all right, I appreciate that. But I think overall, like Eric is just a truly thoughtful, kind person. Otherwise, I would not be married to him. He really cares about loyalty and is incredibly loyal to the people who are good to him. And, you know, if you look at the company, if you look at the Trump organization, what you'll find is that there are people who've been working there for decades. I mean, 40 years, some of these people have been working there. And it started because they loved, you know, my father-in-law when he started the Trump org. And now Eric is in charge of the company. And because of, you know, his loyalty to so many of these people, man, he worked so hard during COVID to try to keep the company running, to try to make sure people still got their paychecks. When they were debanking the entire company and our entire family, they, Eric spent many a sleepless night trying to figure out a way that they were going to keep people in jobs so that they weren't, you know, unemployed in the midst of a time that was completely terrifying to so many people out there. So he's just a good person. And, you know, I think every couple probably has like their little inside jokes and stuff that makes them laugh. Eric and I, whenever we get, you know, some time together and can laugh, I mean, like we really laugh. Sometimes you gotta laugh at all the stuff in life. Otherwise you might cry, but he's a kind, generous, loyal, and really funny person. And I'm very lucky to call him my husband. So thank you for the question. And I'm glad you liked the book. I'm sure you learned a lot in there. All right, next question. When you think worst travel experience, what trip comes to mind? What happened? Man, there've been a lot. I feel like everybody's got their worst travel experiences. I can think of one fairly recently. This was back in May. So this was the Thursday before Mother's Day. And in my daughter's class the next morning at like 8:30 in the morning on this Friday, they were doing a whole like tea and muffins or something for moms for Mother's Day. They had all these projects they'd worked on for us. And Eric and I were in Charlotte for the St. Jude event that we do annually there. For Curativity is the charity, but it raises money for St. Jude. So we were there for the St. Jude event. And then we had like a 9:30 p.m. or something flight from Charlotte back down to Florida. Obviously, we're landing late, but doesn't matter. I'm still going to be up and ready to go for my daughter's thing the next day. And she was so excited about it. And when I said goodnight to her on the phone that night, I was like, I'll be there when you wake up and we'll go to school and we'll go to the mom and daughter thing and whatever. Well, as usual, flight delay. 20 minutes. 20 minutes, 3 minutes. You know how they do. They just delay it 20 minutes. They know, I swear they know that this flight is not going to take off, but they keep delaying you. We sat there in the Charlotte airport, Eric and I, until it was almost 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, there's no way this flight is going to take off. I don't even know how late you can land at PBI. And so we had to call it. We had to go to a hotel, and we took the first flight out in the morning, which didn't land until like 9 a.m. I think it was a 7 a.m. flight. And when I tell you, I was devastated that I wasn't going to be there for the Mother's Day event. However, my daughter's teacher was very sweet and let me come in. As soon as I landed, I went home. I got changed presentable because I wasn't planning on staying overnight anywhere, right? So I had nothing with me. I had to get a toothbrush from the front desk of the hotel. So I'm in the same clothes the next morning. If you saw me on that flight, I am so sorry because that was probably hideous and very cranky. But my daughter's teacher let me come in like an hour before school ended, and she let me read a book to the class or do something like that and, have a little special moment. My daughter got to present me some of the things she had made for me for Mother's Day. So it all worked out. But those are the worst. Whenever you need to get back for something and it's so important and so meaningful, that's just the most recent one. I mean, my gosh, if you travel enough, you have some really awful experiences. And that's why I don't spend an extra second in an airport. That's why people can give me a hard time about my tactic and technique of getting to the gate as soon as they're boarding my zone and walking on, and not a second before. But I spend enough time in airports. I got enough delays in airports. I don't need another minute there. So, yeah, that's a recent one that comes to mind. Not great when you have to stay overnight somewhere and you brought nothing with you. Like to be a little bit prepared, All right, we'll get right back to the show, but first, you know me. I believe in freedom, independence, and the values that built this country. Now, I'll be the first to say President Trump has taken the steps towards reviving our economy, but inflation, trade deficits, and global uncertainty are hitting hardworking Americans where it hurts. Here's the truth. I refuse to let these hidden forces decide my future. That's why I help protect my wealth with real assets, physical gold and silver. For generations, these metals have held value no matter who's in office or what the markets do. To me, gold and silver mean independence, not just for today, but for tomorrow. If you want the peace of mind I've found, it's time to take action. I've partnered with the #1 rated precious metals company, Goldco, and right now they're offering first-time buyers a rebate of up to 10% in bonus silver on qualified accounts. Visit LaraLikesGold.com to learn how you can help safeguard your savings with gold and silver the way I do. That's LaraLikesGold.com. MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. MyPillow bed sheets only $29.88, any color, any style, and any size, even kings. The regular price is $119.98. Now they're only $29.88. And once they're gone for good. My towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regularly priced at $69.98. Now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you get free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-839-8506 and use promo code TRUMP. Use your promo code for the best offers ever. Quantities are extremely limited, so order now. That's promo code TRUMP. Okay, next question. After hearing about Paula Deen, I'm hungry for Southern cooking. What's your favorite Southern dish? Easiest question of my entire life. Collard greens. If you don't know about collard greens, I mean, people from the South know. If you don't live in the South, you're missing out and you might want to get involved. But you need somebody to cook the collard greens for you in the appropriate way. If you have them done right, they're the best. And it's a lot of nostalgia for me, too, because I grew up eating these. And when I moved to New York when I was, 24, you don't have them there. And I'm now down in Florida, quite frankly, don't really have collard greens here. There's a little middle section right there on the East Coast. It's basically from North Carolina down to Georgia, and it may extend over to Alabama and up. Otherwise, that's it. But those are the collard green states, and you know about them. But they're kind of a classic. I also love butter beans. That's also a Southern classic. God, don't kid yourself. I love a biscuit. And you know what? I'm not a big fast food person, but when I am in North Carolina, and everybody who got to come on the campaign trail, either on our Women for Trump bus or who I was on the campaign trail with over, 3 election cycles now, if we were in the Carolinas, you already knew where I wanted to go for lunch. Bojangles. That's right. You know why? Because they got biscuits there. And I'll be honest, the cheddar and egg biscuit, that's what's up. If you don't know, you better find out, because it's excellent. And that's a Southern treat. We don't have those everywhere. I think it's just in the Carolinas, Bojangles. So I personally am very excited about going home for Thanksgiving. I already talked to my mom, 2 days ago about the menu. I had to make sure we had all of our bases covered for the things that I'm coming home and looking forward to. Obviously, if you tuned into my show on Fox this past weekend, you probably made your menu already. But if you didn't, you can tune in and check out. You can go on my social media and see the recipes for what I made with Paula Deen. We had a nice cornbread stuffing that she highly recommends, that she got, I guess, from her grandmother, and it was in her first cookbook. So a lot of good stuff. So I'm excited. I'm ready to eat. I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to have some Southern food and do it the right way for Thanksgiving. So can't wait. Next question. What are you thankful for this Thanksgiving? There's so much to be thankful for and grateful for. Last year we were just outside of the election for Thanksgiving, right? We were like 2 weeks after the election. I think we had Thanksgiving. And I kept talking about how I was so grateful that this country was going to be back on the right path. And I truly was. And now it's even exceeded my expectations. I'm so grateful that everybody out there gave Donald Trump another shot to be back in that White House, because, man, the things we've seen happen have been historic. I don't know any other president who could have accomplished all that this man has. 8 conflicts ended, peace in the Middle East, a potential end to the Russia-Ukraine war on the horizon, trade deals, a secure southern border, inflation coming down, gas prices coming down. I feel like it's all trending in the right direction. And, unfortunately, Joe Biden put us in a terrible position with all of his policies, and inflation was sky high. It takes a while for it to really hit everybody's bottom line, but it is happening out there. You've seen things like egg prices finally going down that everybody was hysterical about like a year ago. So we've seen movement in the right direction, and I think we're going to continue to see that. But it just feels good to know that we've got somebody who understands how to deal with all of it in the White House. And the irony of it is, when he first got elected back in 2016, people just losing their minds over, this guy has no idea how to be a president. Maybe that was the best thing that ever happened to us. Maybe having someone in there who wasn't a politician, who, never had any other experience in the political space, was a blessing. We've got a negotiator. We got a deal maker, a businessman in there. So look, I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful for my family. And, I keep looking at, I've got 3 dogs now. We added Betty to our crew just shy of a year ago. And it'll be a year, I think, beginning of January. But Charlie is my oldest dog, and he's 15 and a half. And he's old. And I'll be honest, I look at him sometimes and I'm like, God, just every other day that we get with Charlie really is a blessing. It truly is. And knock on wood, he's in good health. He's in good spirits. He's not as quick as he used to be, but boy, you bring out a treat, that guy will run right across the room to get it. So don't kid yourself. So it's just, health, happiness, my family, all of those things I'm truly grateful for. And I hope you are too. That's going to do it for us for this episode of Lara Trump Wanted for Questioning. Happy Thanksgiving out there to everybody. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving with your family, with your friends, with people you care about. And I hope everybody comes together. Can we just knock off the nonsense this year enough? Can we just sit down and have a meal together and be civil and humane with one another? That's all. That's all I want to say. All right. Until next time, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. Send us some more questions under this episode or any of our social media. We'll see you back here next time for more of Lara Trump, Wanted for Questioning.